Lionel Messi has accepted a 2-year contract offer from Paris Saint-Germain. The player, his father, and his representation are happy with the offer that has been made. They have agreed to sign 100% and go and play for Paris Saint-Germain next season. Messi is expected to arrive in Paris in the coming days to undergo a medical, to formally sign the paperwork, and to be unveiled to the Parisian supporters. All matters are now currently with the legal representation of all three parties involved to ensure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. But 100%, Lionel Messi has agreed to join Paris Saint-Germain. He is signing the deal. It is over the line. Announcement coming very, very soon. Everything else is purely a formality from here. Also tonight, we're going to be talking about Martin Odegaard and him being linked back to Arsenal Football Club again. The story is he's the number one target and always has been. What does this mean for the James Maddison situation? Who really is the number one choice? We want your views. We want your opinions on that. And then a lovely bit of fun for a Sunday night. Grealish versus Jadon Sancho. Who's going to have the most successful season? Who's going to have the best campaign and why? We want your thoughts. We want your feelings. Hit that like button. Please make sure you subscribe to the Football Terrace and turn on that bell notification before you go any further. You know what comes next, people? Here we go. Welcome back to the terrace, everybody. I hope you are doing well. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're enjoying your Sunday evenings, whatever you're up to. I'm feeling a little bit better now. I was a little ropey earlier on today. Great night out last night with the Football Terrace crew. Had a good time. Not heard from too many of them today. So I think everybody did have a great time. But listen, we're going to be having a good chat tonight. Lots of things to go through. Of course, Lionel Messi, the big news. We kind of knew this terribly. It's about as obvious gets, but everything is now signed, sealed, delivered when it comes to him going to Paris Saint-Germain. All that remains are formalities. So things like medicals, and even like actually signing the paperwork. Like this stuff, you know, when you see like the pictures of them signing a bit of paper, that isn't the contract. Like stuff's just signed digitally. It's the way the modern day world works. Like that, you don't need paper. You don't need to be in the same room to sign a contract. You can do it all digitally. That's how these things are done now. It's over the line. Legal matters are being reviewed. He will be a Paris Saint-Germain player. I read that this evening or during the day today, he hosted like a party or like a dinner at his house with some close friends, family, and some teammates to say goodbye, because he will quite literally be flying to Paris in the next few days, and he'll be moving there for at least the next 2 seasons. It's a 2-year deal with a 1-year contract extension at the end of it. I think it's one that needs to be mutually agreed to by both Paris Saint-Germain and the player. But he's going there. It's going to be exhilarating to see how this plethora of talent, ability, eye-watering skill set of players perform together. What Maurizio Pochettino can do. It's going to be very, very intriguing indeed. So I'm excited to see that as a football fan. I also want to see how Maurizio Pochettino handles this pressure. I'm really intrigued to see how he handles the pressure of having to deliver, knowing that he could do a domestic double or treble. I'm not too sure how many domestic competitions they play in France. I think it's 2 league. I think it's 2 cups and a league. So they could do a domestic treble and still get sacked. He could lose a Champions League final and still get sacked. The football's got to be good. They've got to win They've got break records in winning their league titles, and they just have to win the Champions League. Still, they've got one of the player that a lot of people believe is the best in the world in Lionel Messi. They've got Neymar that most people put in their top 3 to top 5. Verratti. Oh, Sergio Ramos at the back as well. It's just sensational. It's absolutely sensational. And there, need I forget, Kylian Mbappe, heir to the Lionel Messi throne as well. So it's very, very intriguing indeed. So, but there we go. There we go. I do want to talk about Martin Odegaard as well to Arsenal, because I really felt this was an interesting story to rear its head. So, Fabrizio Romano has tweeted about this, and Fabrizio Romano said that Arsenal will still keeping an eye on Martin Odegaard. He's always been the main target as the number 10, i.e. the number 1 target. The main target or number 1 target, I think it's fair to use either of those phrases, to be honest with you. It says that if he decides to leave Real Madrid and Real Madrid decide to sell him, Arsenal will bid for him. It says Arsenal would be ready to try also for a permanent move. It's up to the player. What I find intriguing about the situation with Odegaard isn't that you're looking at him. Of course, Arsenal are still going to keep an eye on the situation, because for me, who I think their main target is James Maddison. You don't go to the energy and the effort and the potential expense of trying to sign James Maddison if Odegaard is your number 1 target, because it doesn't make sense. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. And I'm not questioning the interest, but with Fabrizio saying that it's the main target, if you offered, forget the 60 million that you might end up putting in for James Maddison, if you put 30 million, 40 million pound now on Odegaard's name, Real Madrid would accept it. Real Madrid, 110% would accept it. Why would they not? I believe he's a target. I believe you will, of course, be keeping tabs on the situation. Why would you not? But his notion of him being the number 1 target, yeah, I'm not buying that from a month of Sundays. I can't. I literally can't. That doesn't make any sense to me. A few people are saying take both. Can you take both with Emil Smith Rowe having just signed a new deal? With Emil Smith Rowe and Maddison, in your case, you're saying take both. When does Odegaard play? When does Odegaard get on the pitch? Like, legitimately, when does he get in the pit on the pitch? I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me at all. Thank you here to Ian T for signing up and becoming a squad member of the Football Terrace today. That means a great deal to me. So thank you very, very much indeed. Thank you. I am going to share the link now in the comment section. We'll start taking calls very soon, but we are going to be, of course, doing a debate. Just as I said, we're going to be talking about Jack Grealish situation. Jack Grealish versus Jadon Sancho. I want to have a bit of a conversation about this today. You're going to start seeing this moving forward in the next week in the build up to the Premier League. We're going to, over the course of next week, we're going to do previews. We're going to talk about each individual club, where they're at, because we're less than a week away. In fact, Friday night is when it all begins. On the Friday night, it all begins. We are going to review everybody's window so far, how the teams are looking, favorites, top 4 predictions, and all that jazz. We'll do a few shows on that this week. But we're going to do a few of these head-to-head player challenges. Who is going to come out on top? And that's what I want to talk about as well. You can find about any reason, but that's what I really want to talk about. Who is going to come out on top? Jack Grealish or Jadon Sancho? I want your thoughts and I want your feelings on that, please, ladies and gentlemen. Chris here with the super chat says Sancho is going to be better. He will play more games for Oli. Then Grealish will play for Pep. That's actually a fairly logical point, to be honest. Like, that's very true. That's very, very true indeed. I wouldn't be surprised to see Grealish play less games. I mean, no one plays like a large, barring the goalkeeper, maybe a defender. Like the attacking players at City get rotated massively. One of the reasons why they're obviously so successful in across all the domestic competitions, though, because they've got that freshness in their legs. Terry, is there any content? Sorry, Terry, is there any content from the get together yesterday? Not that's getting put out on. Nothing scandalous happened, but nothing that's going out on the internet. Some pictures and stuff. Yeah, there's nothing really. I know we went into karaoke, so there's definitely some footage of me probably somewhere singing and dancing. But yeah, I've told the crew, whoever releases any of that stuff, they are never coming back on the terrace. They have all been warned to within an inch of their lives. Like, do not put videos of me on the internet. The thing is, right, I'm a YouTuber. I'm not shy, but I have no desire to be a meme. Honestly, I know some content creators love it when something happens and they trend or become a meme. I can't have that. I don't want that. That doesn't excite me. That makes me feel rather nauseous. But there we go. There we go. So we're going to go into this debate. I'm going to bring Tom on with me now. Tom Little is going to have his say on this. We are going to go to your calls on this right back now. We're going to have this discussion. Who's going to have the better and the more successful season? We actually have polls running on this as well. Right here on YouTube, 61% think Jadon Sancho. If we look over on, of course, the Twitter page where we also shared the same poll, I'm going to go check and see what that's saying now. Twitter poll hasn't actually been released yet. I've just shared it now, so there's no votes. I forgot that I didn't press the send button. That's out now on our Twitter account. That is done and that is dusted. Want to hear from you. Man like Tom is with me now. We're going to start off the show by having a bit of a chat about this. Tom, how are you, young man?
I'm very good, mate. And you?
Can't complain. Can't complain. Liverpool had a pre-season game today, didn't they? How'd you get on?
Mm-hmm. All right. You know, I had a really good first half. Then Robbo done his ankle in and we were awful second half. So story of our past 2 seasons, really.
There we go. There we go. But we're here talking Grealish, Sancho. I want your take, mate. Who do you think is going to have the most successful season?
We got 2 great English wingers, but I've got to give it to Jadon Sancho. I just think there's the type of play Jack Grealish is, City already have in a Phil Foden. I'm not saying he's good, but the type of play style. They've got one in Phil Foden who likes to play on the left. They've got one in De Bruyne who likes to play in the middle. I think Jack Grealish, there's the potential there for him to become another Coutinho type signing. Someone who signs for big money. You know they've got the quality, but whether it's system or whatever, they just don't live up to expectation. I just think his strongest point, the way he wins fouls, that's not going to have as much an impact with Manchester City because teams aren't going to let Manchester City counter them as much and create the situations where he can get on the break and isolate defenders and earn them fouls. You know, he's not going to play as much. We know Pep Guardiola's rotation system. At the end of the day, Jadon Sancho is a natural fit to that United system. You'd expect him to play game in, game out for them as their best right winger. I couldn't guarantee that Jack Grealish starts 20 games a season at City because of how Pep likes to rotate his system. Sometimes it's Sterling off the left, sometimes it's Foden, sometimes it'll be Grealish. God knows, Jesus will probably find his way out there at some point. You can never guess with Pep Guardiola. He has the potential under Pep to become 10 times a better player. But I think with the system not built around him, with the fact that he's not going to earn as many fouls, with the fact that he's not going to play as much, I just think there'll be a lot to be desired from Jack Grealish's Manchester City career, and he might have been better off being the player the team builds around at Aston Villa than being a player a team builds with at Manchester City.
It's really interesting because when you look at the two players and you break it down, say statistically, I was looking at this just a stats earlier. We know how good. I always say that stats don't lie in the sense of if somebody is good on the eye test, they look good, but they actually produce, they will have good statistics. You can't not have those two. Great players have great outputs in whatever their role is. Now,
Yeah,
it's like I was looking at their stats. When you actually look at this going into last season, this is amazing. So, ball recoveries, both of them. I'll always do Sancho's first. 5.1 ball recoveries per game versus 5.2. Possession lost. This is the only one that's really skewed, really. Sancho loses the ball on average 21 times per game. Jack Grealish just 15. Just so Man United fans are aware, Sancho loses the ball only once or twice less per game than Bruno Fernandes. It's very normal for highly productive players to lose the ball. Goals per game. 0.4 to Sancho, 0.3 to Grealish. Non-penalty goals per game, 0.4, 0.3, same because none of them score penalties. Conversion rate, 24% Sancho, 20% Grealish. Shooting accuracy, 50% to Sancho. Interestingly, shooting accuracy for Grealish is massive at 65%. Assists, 0.5 each per game. Chances created, 3 for Sancho, 3.4 for Jack Grealish. Passing accuracy, 82 versus 83. Long pass accuracy. This is one where Grealish outweighs him. 70% pass completion on long balls, only 57% for Grealish. Crossing accuracy, 23 versus 22%. And then ground duel success, 52% of his dribble succession rate for Sancho, 62% for Grealish. When you start breaking it down statistically, as well as looking at the eye test, they are very, very close, which is why I think it's a really good debate and conversation to have. For me, though, I want Jack Grealish to kill it, and I think he's going to have a very, very good season. But this isn't about him flopping or this isn't about like anybody flopping or anything along those lines. It's more of a case of like, it's the word I'm looking for here. Just one being better than the other. Nick says, what about touches per game? Touches per game, Jadon Sancho, 82 versus 65 of Jack Grealish. Well, that would be an interesting one because Grealish will get even more touches this year because his team's going to have more of the ball. So there is then the possibility that certain statistics then drop. He's also going to be playing against low block every week. How often has Jack Grealish played against low block teams? That doesn't mean he won't deliver, but it's suddenly new and it's different. Sancho's going to have that as well because teams don't really play low block in Germany. But I would put my money on Jadon Sancho for a few reasons. One, I think he'll get more starts and more game time. So he'll have a better flow. But I think that Oli allows an element of freedom to his systems, which is going to allow someone like a Jadon Sancho to flourish. I think Jack Grealish is going to do very, very well. I'm just not 100%. I don't look at him and think, well, he was brilliant last year for Villa. He's gone to a better team with a better manager. He's going to produce even more outputs off the back of it. The eye test is already done. We know where he's at with the eye test, but it's, can he produce more? I actually think the lack of creative freedom that you get in the system means Grealish will probably produce about the same as he did last year along those lines. And then you're going to move into that realms of, was that worth £100 million? I think Jadon Sancho is going to score and assist in at least 80% of the games that he plays in for Man United next year. I think Jack Grealish's will be a little bit lower at about 60%. I'm going to go with Jadon Sancho to have the better and more successful individual season, but I think they'll both do well. But it's going to be an enthralling battle. When we always get these every season, 2 or 3 new strikers join the team or new midfielders. I think this year the Grealish-Sancho debate is going to be a big one, along with the big centre-back debate as well, when we're going to have Konate. We're doing that later on in the week. Konate, Koundé, Varane, and Ben White. So it's going to be a real interesting one. We want to take your calls on this, ladies and gentlemen. We are speaking Jadon Sancho or Jack Grealish. Which of the two do you think is going to have the most successful season? We are also taking calls about Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi has agreed to the terms officially with PSG. The announcement is imminent, is coming soon. He's flying to Paris at some point in the next couple of days. He'll be going to Paris. He's saying goodbye tonight to friends and family at dinner at his home in Barcelona. He's on his way to Paris Saint-Germain. Lawyers are reviewing everything as it's as it stands right now. So he will be that player. We're going to go to our first caller of the night, and we're going to go to young Samuel. Who's going to come and tell us what he thinks. What are you saying, young Samuel?
No, what are you saying,
You have
Terry?
the best, Grealish or Sancho?
I'm gonna have to say Sancho. I have to agree with everyone here, Sancho. Because the reason is Jack Grealish. He's got, look at the price tag. He's the most expensive player in English football history at £100 million. There's more pressure added to Jack Grealish than there is for Jadon Sancho. You know, Jack Grealish has come in. There's been more criticism of the Jack Grealish deal than far more than the Jadon Sancho deal. Because there's some fans in the lower level clubs complaining, oh, he should have stayed here. He's going for the money. He should have stayed at Aston Villa. So you can see yesterday in the Community Shield where I think Jack Grealish went and Leicester fans were booing him. So probably every ground that Jack Grealish goes to this season, he's going to get a hostile atmosphere. As for Jadon Sancho, Jadon Sancho comes into a better environment for him. I think there's less competition. I know Jack Grealish is a brand new sign, but there's increased competition at Man City than there is at Man United. Sancho fits right in. He's been welcomed by the fans. After I think a year and a half of him being by Man United and Man United Twitter going on a frenzy for him, he fits right in. He's got his best friend there, Marcus Rashford, and the environment at Man United, I think, is far more of a positive environment on Sancho than it is for Jack Grealish at Manchester City.
I mean, I think you made some good points there. It's really. Are you Tom surprised the kind of backlash that you've seen against Jadon Sancho? Not Jadon Sancho, against Jack Grealish. Like, people seem really angry with him. Why do you think that is?
Because football fans are very nostalgic. I'll admit to being one of them. We love seeing them stories of a homegrown kid making it at the club, taking them to success, being the captain, staying there for his career. And Jack Grealish had promised that. It seemed that was his career path, and he's in a way, I wouldn't say throwing it away because he's gonna win loads of trophies at City. That's a guarantee. But there was a real chance to arguably be the greatest Aston Villa player. Whether that would have happened, I don't know. But captain, he was the best player by far in that team. And they'd have a very good window.
Tom, but the thing is, you look at this. Last season, Jack Grealish signed a contract extension at Aston Villa, which was meaning that even if he was going to leave, Aston Villa will get an increased sum for a transfer fee. So you got to look at it in this way. He made a sacrifice by signing an extension so Aston Villa could get more money to possibly buy on his replacement and strengthen the squad. So you can look at it this way as well.
No, that's why he's went. But football fans are nostalgic. Football fans love the underdog stories, the kid who came through, makes it big, drags his team to success. That's what we wanted to see from Grealish, especially after this Euros. He was the bright spark in that English team. And we were waiting to see that with Villa this season. Could he push them onto European football? And he's went for trophies, and no one can argue that against him. He'll win them. But there'll always be that what if he'd stayed at Villa?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one, though. We only get that way with certain players when they move. It's like Raheem Sterling was just vilified for wanting to move. But then, and it wasn't his boyhood club. He was a QPR, but like Liverpool had poached him from QPR, and then a team in a better position took him. But no one had a go at Virgil van Dijk for leaving Southampton. What if he'd have become the best centre back in the world at Southampton? Maybe they'd have won some trophies. Like, no one had a go at him for doing it. I think sometimes what happens is we pick particular players to be the villains. Do you get where I'm coming? There's always certain players, and I think Jack Grealish, for whatever reason, there's a percentage of the media and people that, because he's a bit of a, I'm not going to say loose cannon, but he's a bit of a bad boy. I think there's a little bit of a, like, underneath, I don't know, just an image. Again,
he's had his scandals
because of what people said and done. I remember when he was younger, like passing out when he was on holiday somewhere during lockdown, getting caught at a party. The photograph he posted with him and a young lady. Like, so it's a bit of a, I wouldn't say, maybe not even bad boy, like a cheeky image. And I think it annoys some people that he does that. But I'm pretty sure if, I don't know, Liverpool Football Club, I think it's also about who signs them as well. No one really likes City because of how they've got their money. If Liverpool just dropped £100 million on Jack Grealish, I think it'd be the story would be very, very different. Indeed to that. Let's add some more people in to have their say. I'm gonna pick Sid Singh. Sid Singh, what are you saying?
Hey Terry, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very, very well. Give me your take. Grealish or Sancho?
Okay, so actually, okay,
yes, Grealish or Sancho? Who is having the best season?
okay. This is first of all, this is kind of very difficult to say who's gonna have the best season. Although, although I'm a United fan, as you know, but I would rather go with Grealish for now. The reason behind is that I just feel like Sancho might take time to just get adjusted with the Premier League's fast and physical environment of the football. Whereas I'm not saying that he cannot do that, but I just feel like Sancho might take time to get adjusted to it. But for now, I would go with Jack Grealish.
Fair enough. I hear you on that. We'll do some quick calls here. Top man, thank you very much indeed for coming on, my brother. Thank you. Next up, we're going to go to DC Guna. Welcome to the terrace. Grealish or Sancho? Who are you putting your money on?
Hey Terry, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, very, very well. Thank you. Yes, we can. Who are you putting your money on? Grealish or Sancho?
I guess it all depends, to be honest. Like, is Grealish, I understand like he went for a huge amount of money, over £100 million, but he's not playing as much, he's not going to be playing in much pressure compared to Jadon Sancho, because we all know that Jadon Sancho is pretty much the only bona fide right winger at Manchester United. We know that Marcus Rashford is a very unbelievable footballer, but he hasn't delivered as much on the right side of the pitch. Tony Martial coming off from a bad season. We don't know if he's going to deliver again. So Jadon Sancho will be playing with a lot more pressure, to be honest. But Jack Grealish, he does have people to step in for him, if he messes up. So even though he went for £100 million, I think less eyes would be on him, considering like he plays for Man City again, Man United. A lot of people be talking about Man United over Man City regardless. And, it also depends on Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Is he going to be complementing Jadon Sancho pretty well? Like, is he doing the overlapping runs that he used to get from Achraf Hakimi like 2 years ago, or Mounier this year? So I'm not exactly sure, but
I hear you on that. Go on.
If I had to put my money on it, I would say Jack Grealish, because he's playing with a little bit of less pressure. And, I don't see him as a small fish in a big pond as well, because you saw him in England. He didn't look out of place playing with those stars. So I think I'd go with Jack Grealish.
I hear you on that one. Yeah, you're going to say something, Tom?
I think Grealish has more pressure.
Yeah.
He's the first £100 million English footballer. Pressure going to be all over that. You saw what they were like with Pogba as the record player. I could only imagine it'd be increased with the past issues Grealish has had in terms of the media. There's a lot of expectation for him to come into that City team and instantly hit the ground and instantly start winning titles and that. I think there's more pressure on him. I think if Grealish had signed for a lesser fee, I agree, because the Sancho saga dragged on. Everyone expected it. There was a lot of hype building around it. But I think the fact that he's £100 million, first 9-figure transfer sum in English football, that just carries more weight. And I just think all the pressure is going to be on him, especially in that Manchester City team, alongside your Phil Foden and your Kevin De Bruyne, to instantly hit the ground and start pulling his weight and compare to them.
Yep.
Yeah, listen, great points there, gentlemen. Listen, DC Guna, thank you for coming on and having your say. Really appreciate that. Top man. Of course, the big news this evening, in case you're just new to tuning in, Lionel Messi has signed the agreement to join Paris Saint-Germain, a 2-year contract with a 1-year mutual extension attached to it, so he could be there for up to 3 years. The legal teams of all parties involved are now reviewing this documentation just to make sure it all stacks up. But Messi, his entourage, his management have all agreed to the terms that have been offered by Paris Saint-Germain. He will be flying to Paris in the coming days to conclude this deal, to undergo medicals, do some photo shoots, to end and put an end to this very short saga. But for one of the biggest pieces of transfer news ever, especially since the social media era has come into football. He will be a Paris Saint-Germain player. It's been the worst kept secret for about 2 or 3 days now. We pretty much know where that is, but it before, other than him holding the shirt up, it doesn't get any closer than we are now. So there you go. Next call up we're gonna get in is gonna be we're gonna get Mohammed on. Mohammed's a Liverpool fan. Jack Grealish or Jadon Sancho? Who's going to have the most successful season, Mohammed?
So, yeah, two very good players who are going to do really good in their careers. I personally think Sancho will go on to do better this season because obviously he'll have more game time compared to Grealish. As we said earlier on, Guardiola likes to rotate his team a lot this season. So, Sancho you'll see more of. So that's probably why we'll see. I think Sancho will be better than Grealish.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, I hear you on that. I hear you on that. In terms of that, do you think? I know he's not wearing the number 7 shirt, but do you think the pressure, the position that he's playing, is so iconic at Manchester United? The right-hand side of the attack, Beckham and Cristiano Ronaldo and the like. Do you think Sancho can handle that pressure at Old Trafford?
Yeah, I see why he can't. He's proved at Dortmund. He won the Pacao with the Dortmund last season, so he knows he's got that winner's mentality in him already. I know he missed a penalty in the Euros, but I think that was just a minor thing. But I still think he'll go on to do really good for Man United. Maybe get a trophy even out of it.
Also,
Yeah.
Mo, thing is, with Jack Grealish is at Aston Villa, he was the main guy. He was the man. Everything went through him. He was the main difference maker. Well, Jadon Sancho at Borussia Dortmund, well, he wasn't really the main guy because it was Erling Haaland. So Erling Haaland got the main attention. Now Jack Grealish is in a team where there's players around who are the same level as him or even better than him in that Man City team. So I think Jadon Sancho is more of a team player, and Jack Grealish is going to have to adapt to this new role he has at Manchester City. So I think Sancho will hit the ground running as the season goes on.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting indeed. I want to ask you a question. I'm gonna go Tom first on this, and the viewers, I want your thoughts as well. How many goals and assists? Because outputs matter for attacking players. How many goals and assists do you think Sancho is going to get in a Man United shirt? And the reason I ask that is because his outputs at Dortmund are north of 90%. So in 90% of games, he's scoring or he's assisting. How do you think he's going to do in the Prem at Man United next year?
It's a tough one because it all depends on his acclimatization, how quickly he adapts to the league. I don't think it'll take him long. He's used to playing English football, so I'm going to go for pushing double figures in terms of goals. I like 8, 9, and probably around 13 to 15 assists.
Let's go all comps. Let's go all comps.
All comps, you probably average around 15. You'd aim for around 15 goals, 20 assists is what I'd say. Because let's be honest, for them first 2 months, he's going to be the chief guy in that attack in terms of right winger, left winger, striker, because Rashford ain't there. Rashford's got that surgery coming up, he's going to be missing. So in terms of wide creation, they're going to go straight to Sancho. And with a striker like Cavani in the middle, someone who can make half chances look like full-blown chances, I think he'll have a really good start. And that'll just be the basis to build off for him.
I hear you. How about yourself, Samuel? How many goals and assists do you see him getting?
In all competitions, I think he's definitely going to score over 10 goals. I think around this mid-mark, around 15, 16 goals. I'll see more around 15 goals in all competitions. I think Man United will need to win a trophy this season, so he'll have a big part to play in the League Cup, in the FA Cup this season. So I expect him to be starting in the latter stages of his competitions. As for assists, I think a little higher. I think 18 assists this season and 15 goals in all competitions because, Sancho must be an integral part of Man United winning a trophy, because going, I think, 4 years or 5 years without a trophy for Man United is completely unacceptable. So, there's less of him to ask for at Man United, because City's expectation right now this season is, I know Man United and City have their expectations, but City is has a chance of winning the Champions League or Premier League this season, while United is just to get a trophy. So, yeah, I think, 16 goals and 18 assists this season.
Top man. Mohammed, thank you very much for coming on, mate, and having your say. Really appreciate it, buddy. Top man indeed. If you want to phone in, please do. I am also sharing a link in the comment section right now. You can see it being posted through. It's also in our description below. That is our brand new free notification group chat. So if you never want to miss another piece of Football Terrace content, again, whether it's an upload or a live stream, we will be posted. You'll get notifications, 100% guaranteed notifications from our Telegram group chat. Getting close to 1,000 people in that group chat now, which is amazing. So please go and get yourself signed up to that right now, ladies and gentlemen. Please go and get that done. Next on the show, we've got Ziad. Ziad is a Chelsea fan. What are you here to say, mate?
Yeah, Terry. If you would have asked me who do I think is the better player between a Grealish and a Sancho, I would say Grealish. But for this season, who do I think will have the bigger impact? I'm gonna have to go with Sancho. And there's great points being made here, and I think they all make sense and all relative to what will happen this season. So, for example, the Grealish, I think he's gonna need time to adapt to being more of a team player. So, not really hugging the ball at all times, as good as he is keeping the ball, taking on players. He's gonna have to become more of a team player when you have the likes of De Bruyne around you, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, Mahrez, Foden, the list goes on. And that's why I feel like he won't necessarily struggle, but he will adapt. He'll have to adapt a bit. And also, as much as Grealish is quality at taking on players and creating chances, for me, as of now, from the City squad, they still don't have that striker. They still don't have that striker that will score 20 goals a season, 15 goals a season to help Grealish. So Grealish would benefit off a striker for Harry Kane, for example. If they do sign a Harry Kane, the situation completely changes. But that's why I think Grealish also has a step back when it comes to Sancho, because when you look at Sancho, we know his numbers are great when it comes to assisting, taking on players, crossing, taking on players on the wings and causing trouble, and then going into the box for Haaland to create. And when you have a Cavani up front, whose movement in the box is second to none, and he's experienced, he knows the back of the net like no other. And when you've got someone like that, it's only going to benefit Sancho. It's only going to help Sancho when he speeds past the left back of the opponent, and then he crosses it in for Cavani, who's an expert at scoring goals, especially in the box. And also for Bruno Fernandes, who his assist records up there, for him to help to put in Sancho through and then Sancho into Cavani. That little link-up play, I think, will be a thing for United this season. So that's why I feel like Sancho would have the better season than Grealish. But at the end of the day, they're both great players. But when you look at Grealish, City need that striker, in my opinion. Like, as of now, if we're looking at all the squads, I still think Chelsea are favourites for the title. And the main element is City not having a striker. And that's why I feel like Sancho will have a better season than Grealish, because he's got players around him in a Cavani and a Fernandes that suit him very much.
It's going to be interesting indeed. We're obviously going to do predictions on who's going to win the league going into next week on our preview shows here on the Terrace. So make sure you stay with us every step of the way. That notification group chat is going to be very, very important. So make sure you don't miss any of the latest transfer news, transfer gossip, breaking news headlines, but of course, all of our build-up, all of our match reactions throughout the course of the season to the Premier League and the Champions League. So make sure you go and sign up to that group now. I want to see all 1,500 of you that are watching right now go and sign up to the group. It just makes sense. There's no spam in there. All I put in there is when we're about to go live. So go and get that sorted out, people, right about now. Now, we're going to do another caller here. We're going to add into the mix. Russell's coming on with us now. What are you saying, Russell? Russell?
Hi, Terry.
Lovely.
Hey, can you hear me?
Sort of. Yeah, what are you saying?
I just wanted to quickly on the Blair debate. I don't know if that's fine.
On the what? On the what? Sorry.
On the player to pay because I saw
Yes, that's what we're taking calls on. Go for it. What are you here to say?
So basically, my money first of all is on Sancho, and I wanted to elaborate on why I thought 100 million for Grealish was too much. And it's amazing that you put Sancho next to him, and that's basically it. How much does United pay for Sancho? About 70 mil, and then you pay 100 for Grealish. In my opinion, of the two players who's proved themselves internationally, I think the numbers speak for themselves. And then basically that's why I was arguing against Grealish. And besides that, I think Sancho is a better player. But my shout is Anthony Martial will be the top goal scorer for Man United.
Okay.
What?
Russell, we're getting a bit of an echo from your line. I don't know if you've got earphones in or not. I'd like to be able to speak, but I need that echo taken care of. Anthony Martial to be the top goal scorer. I mean, it could happen. Why are you boys laughing?
Come on, Terry. Nah, Martial. I mean, when there's Cavani and Rashford in front of him, I don't see it. I don't see it, Terry.
Yeah, but you're laughing like he's a bad. You're laughing like he's a bad player.
He's not exactly a good player, is he?
Yeah. I think above average. That's what he is.
No,
I'd put him on the same level as Firmino. He's just, his confidence seems down in the gutter at the minute. And he had a really good, post-lockdown spell. But so did Naby Keita, and look at how he's turned out. I just think last season he really struggled to build off that lockdown he had. And I just think he's been usurped by Cavani. And if I was the United manager, I'd be giving Greenwood minutes as striker ahead of him. I just think Martial, unless he's willing to go out wide and try and develop his game more towards a winger now, cutting inside, maybe creating chances that way, I just don't see a future for him at United as a striker. I think that chance, he's had multiple chances, and I think his window of opportunity's been and gone.
Yeah, I see Martial just playing in the League Cup, FA Cup, probably in the final 10 minutes of the game when the game is wrapped up. That's what I see his role this season. Maybe he can make an impression in the League Cup because he'll be playing easy opposition and even FA Cup. So he does have a chance to get back into the first team. But as of right now, coming to the season, I think he's United's third choice striker going into next week ahead of the Premier League.
But maybe that will be key for him in the start of the season because Rashford will be out. And I think Tom's right. I think his best position is on the left. And when you got Rashford out, he could come into the start of the season on that left-hand side and change Ollie's mind. He might have Rashford a hard time getting back into the squad after he comes back from surgery. I don't think Martial is a terrible footballer at all. I think he's a quality footballer. He just needs that. He needs right amount of time because let's not act like we haven't seen great potential in Martial and Man United shirt. And as long as he takes his opportunities, I see him at least giving Rashford a hard time on the left, but not Cavani at all. I don't see him touching Cavani up front.
Do you know what's interesting about the Anthony Martial side of things is the only anomaly last season was his awful conversion rate. Legitimately, his conversion rate last season, I'm just checking it again now, was 12%. The problem you've got, if we just go back for a moment and go back to the year before that, his conversion rate was at 28%. If we go back to the 19 season, we just go back 3 seasons on the bounce. Conversion rate was 33%. We go back to the 2018 season. It was 29%. We'll go back. I'm going to keep going back further here. I'm going to go 2017. His conversion rate was 31%. Go back to 2016. What was that? 25%. Last year, the only year that his conversion rate has been that bad, right? So it stands to reason that he could go back to normal this year. None of us are saying he's past it. Like he's mid-20s, right? So he's young still from a footballing sense. He just had an abnormally bad year at not converting chances. If he doesn't even improve any element of his game, but he just goes back to converting the level of chances that he normally creates, he could easily finish as our top goal scorer. Cavani is going to be difficult because I think if Cavani stays fit all season, I think he might break 25 to 30 goals, all comps. He's good enough to do that. But I don't know, Anthony Martial is not a bad shout. He's not a bad shout. Let's see how he does at the start. I think he's going to start at the beginning of the season. I'm actually really excited to see him on the left with Sancho on the right. I mean, that. Imagine one of them dribbling at you from either side. Because the one thing that Martial is much better than Rashford at doing is dribbling in against low blocks where he's actually got to beat people. Rashford's more of a he has got skill, but he knocks it past you and runs. It's a lot harder against low blocks to do that.
For you, Terry, would you because we know Sancho is great on both sides. For the start of the season, would you start Sancho on the left and then give Greenwood the chance on the right?
Do you know what? It's a great problem to have. You could do that. You absolutely could do that. I wouldn't. I would start the first. I quite like the idea of bringing Grealish on from the bench. I was quite not Grealish doing Greenwood. I quite like the idea of him coming on 25 minutes to go in the early part of the season against tired defenders. With his finishing ability, with his speed, with his skill set, I think that could be very, very dangerous. Having said that, Anthony Martial up against tired defensive legs, and that's why this suddenly United strength in depth is amazing. We will get to a point by October when Rashi returns, where generally speaking, two of those players are going to be coming off the bench in each game. Like that is a scary prospect for our rivals. But no, I would start the season with Martial left, Sancho on the right. That's what I would personally do. In fairness, because he's starting training tomorrow, probably gonna start with Sancho on the bench. To be fair, like he ain't gonna be fit. But what I'd like to see happen is the other way around. I had a super chat I missed earlier. Sorry, from Tahir Khan. He says Terry trolling City by drinking from a can with the Champions League trophy on it. I didn't really think about that, but fair enough. Yeah. There we go. Ziad, thank you very much for coming on, my friend. Really appreciate your call. Top man. Thank you. Next caller is going to be Guna TV. He's coming on to obviously an Arsenal fan. Grealish or Sancho? Who's going to have the most successful season? Give me your thoughts, mate.
Hello, Terry, mate. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm all good.
You hear me well?
Yep. What do you want to say, buddy?
It's got to be Sancho for me. It's got to be Sancho. But I think the most important thing is who's going to be his partner. Obviously, last season he had Haaland. His goal to ratio to assists was fantastic. Was it 20-20? It was around. Was it something like that? Was it 20-20?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't think he's going to get that this season, but I think he's going to make much more of an impact than Grealish in his first season. Like, the problem is with Grealish, as fantastic a footballer as he is, he's just got so many players that are similar to him. Where's he going to fit in? And that's going to be fascinating to watch this season. But I think with United, they've obviously got Edison Cavani. Rashford's out injured. I think when Rashford comes back, Sancho will feed Rashford. He'll feed Cavani, and he'll get them assists up. And obviously, he will score goals as well.
And if you look at it, so last season in all comps for Dortmund, Sancho scored in 46% of games and assisted in 49% of games. If you look across his entire career at Dortmund, scored in 43% of his games and assisted in 47%. So he's near on, he's well in the 90s. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sorry, 80. Sorry, that's 80. Sorry, it's not 87% career output rate on those metrics. Last season, as even better than that, it was at 94% last. So 94% of the games he played in last year, he scored and he assisted. It's an amazing record. There's no doubt about it. Gunner TV, top man. Thank you for coming on, mate, and having.
Can I just say one more thing?
Oh, yeah, of course you can. Of course you can.
It's not about this. It's about the middle one. Messi agreed. I think Pep Guardiola has made a massive mistake in signing Grealish, and he would have loved to have got Messi for 2 or 3 years to get that Champions League. I'm just saying.
Do you think that they're regretting it? Like, oh, why did we have just waited a few more days?
Yes, Messi, mate. Wouldn't it have been great to see him in the Premier League, man? Come on, at any team. But I just think City. I think Pep sat there with his head in his hands. I do. I gotta be honest.
You know what though? I think City they'll take the hit on. Oh,
Tom, do me a
because of-
favor. Tom, do me a favor. Why do you like you're just like a floating head? Move the camera. So you hold.
yeah,
There we go.
I think they'll accept the fact that they've missed out on 2 years with Messi. Don't get me wrong, you're missing out on 2 years of near 40 goals a season. But I think that the City ownership group aren't stupid. They'll see Grealish as the face of the next era of Manchester City. When Kevin De Bruyne's production slows down, they'll have Grealish and Foden together as the driving force of that new Manchester City, who will be like the marketing thing and all that. I think, don't get me wrong, Pep, we know Pep gets the best out of Messi. He got him scoring 90 goals in a calendar year. But I think Messi needs something new as well. I think Messi needs something new. I think going under Pochettino will benefit him.
Tears for leaving. I just seen a tweet from him waving goodbye. He's bawling his eyes out, and I don't blame him. It's very rare in today's football we have a one-man club. Come on, remember the old days when a player signed and you knew he was going to play for you for the rest of your career. Unfortunately, but I thought Messi would do it, but sadly,
mate. Yeah. I mean, actually, spot on, mate. I mean, it's in terms of like you don't get very many one club players anymore, not at that level. But I also agree with Tom. I think it could be a resurgence for him. I think we could see Lionel Messi. Not that he was doing badly, but it could just be like a new lease of life for him. I reckon he's going to score.
He's got some ballers around him, hasn't he?
All comps. I think he's going to do a madness like that. Listen, Gunner TV, top man, thanks for coming up and having your say. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
We're going to
go to next. Chris is coming on the show with us now. Chris, welcome to the Terrace. What do you want to say?
Hi there, Terry. How you doing?
I'm very, very well. What's on your mind, mate? What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just wanted to have a bit of a chat about the Sancho Grealish debate, and I think there's something that people are missing. I mean, I think evidently when you look at Manchester United's team, and I'm a neutral, I'm a Reading fan, by the way, so I'm looking at it completely objectively. Grealish fills a massive gaping hole in that team, whereas Sancho fills that hole in that team, whereas Grealish, he's going to be up against Sterling. Is he much better than Sterling? Is he going to be noticeably better than Sterling? That's debatable. But people have got to think about, the previous caller mentioned about who he's going to play up front with. Well, I think you've got to look further back and you've got to consider who is the fullback he's going to be playing with. Because, one of the big criticisms from Aaron Wan-Bissaka last year is he's not really that effective going forward. And even Rio Ferdinand made a few comments. He said that they would give him space, which meant that the opposition defence would double up on Greenwood. Now, if Man United bring in a Trippier, then opposition defences aren't going to be able to double up on Sancho this year. He's going to get more room. So if that happens, I think that Sancho will be far better than Grealish going forward.
Yeah, do you know what's interesting with that? That's a great point. I think with AWB, I actually think this is going to help him because it's going to do two things. We've actually got proper creativity then on that right-hand side. That takes the burden of pressure away from AWB to be the creator. At the moment, it's interesting. Trent Alexander-Arnold has made AWB's life very hard because he's creating at an abnormal level. So suddenly, we're very fickle beings. I want my right back to do the same. That's all it comes down to. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, why don't you just respect what your right back is? Honestly, Liverpool fans wish that Trent could defend like AWB. Of course they do. So it's all sorts of courses. I think it will make AWB look a better player because there's less pressure on him to deliver. Sancho's also going to take up a lot of time, occupy a lot of players' attention, giving AWB half a second to a second longer on the ball in phases, which is going to help him massively. So I'm really intrigued to see how it works out. It's going to be excellent to see. Chris, thanks for coming on, mate, and having your say. Russell is back with us now. Russell, hope you sort that echo out. Are you back? Hello? You're on mute.
Yeah, I'm back, man. I'm back.
Is that better?
Sorry.
That's better. That's better. Yeah, you were saying about Martial being the top goal scorer.
Yeah, I don't know why it sounded like a foreign shout, to be fair. For starters, it's the only forward we have who has been top goal scorer at Man United, not just once, twice. So that alone should allow the guy some sort of leeway in terms of fans actually judging him fairly and not off this what has become sort of like an internet argument whether he's a good player or not. Clearly, the guy has got talent and clearly he's got some problems he needs to fix. But to suggest that a guy who has been top goal scorer twice in a front line that none of them have ever done it could not do it for a third time after a boogie season, for me, it just sounds like an easy way to actually not analyze a player for what it's worth. That's my point of view.
No, we kind of said that. Like, for me, all that let him down last season was his conversion rate, and he was rightfully criticised. But for people suddenly to say he's a bad player because of one poor year in front of goal is a madness. And the likes of Sancho creating is going to help him. You know, he's going to get more opportunities and chances. So I'm very intrigued to see how it all works out. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, everyone who's tuned in, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. Please make sure you subscribe. Please go into the description below and come follow us across our social media accounts. Make sure you sign up to the notification group chat. You'll see that down in the description below as well. Very important to us. We're back tomorrow morning with more content for you. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see